So I've noticed something really interesting in terms of human social interactions, and it comes down to that meme where it's like a normal distribution curve, and then there's like super smart people, and then super dumb people, and then like the normal people in the middle. And it's to do with fear because the people who are like the least socially aware and who have had like good upbringings with like parents who have taught them like parents who are fine socially, and so therefore they have learned to kind of interact with people socially even though they have no social awareness, um because they are like maybe low IQ or whatever intelligence it requires for social interactions. Like they're not very socially aware. They are they I think tend to do better socially, even though they're like the least socially aware, than people who are slightly socially aware, like the middle bit or the normal distribution. Because the middle people in the normal distribution are like slightly aware. So that means they have like some insecurities because it's like, oh, what if that person is, what if that group is talking about me? That person just acted like that. That person had that little body language thing, and now I think maybe he doesn't like me, and I'm getting insecure. And so therefore they become the most kind of scared because they don't have kind of the like they don't have the maybe the mindset to correct their errors, or like to learn from what they're dealing with and to improve as a person maybe. But they still have those insecurities, and so they have that like 50-50 thing of like being slightly socially aware but that actually being a curse, because a lot of the time they don't have the belief that you can actually kind of change your insecurities and like become a different person. And then you have the people on the upper end of the spectrum, which are like incredibly socially aware, um, which can be a huge curse if they don't learn how to like hack the social game, if you see what I mean. Because if, for example, an incredibly high like social IQ person was born into kind of a family which didn't really have many kind of social skills, like their parents didn't really have a social life, and so therefore they didn't really learn how to deal with things socially, they would be the most anxious. I mean, they would probably like be the least confident, have the most social anxiety. They would be the most kind of looked down upon people. And honest, and it's because they're not like learning to yield their weapon correctly, because they being the most socially aware, therefore also like maybe the most empathetic, if they're not like psychopaths, that is, or like narcissists. um and so like if they don't learn how to change to become a more socially, like a more better person socially, then it's a huge curse. But the thing is, because these people are such high IQ, then I think a lot of the time they realize that they can actually change as a person and improve themselves and like learn to be more attractive socially. And as a result, like it almost becomes a superpower. So the curse almost becomes a superpower. The curse of like noticing everything around them and being incredibly insecure becomes a superpower once people learn how to, like, once these smart people learn how to process it, because now they know what like everyone is thinking and they can like manipulate social interactions to their advantage. And that's when you get to like the Machiavellian type of like standard. And yeah, it's just really interesting because I think God has designed the world to make everything fair. So it's like if you have like the most, if you're the most socially aware, then you can you can have the most anxiety and like lack of confidence. But if you manage to deal with it, you can have the most power and the most kind of you can have the biggest advantage in social interactions. Whereas like the middle people, it's like they don't have to deal with the pain of like being bullied, being like social, having social anxiety, like not like being scared socially because they are noticing everything around them. But at the same time, like maybe they can't access the big blessings of like being able to literally control a social scenario because they understand everything that's going on. And so everything has like, at the end of the day, it's all evened out. Like maybe the middle person has a more kind of even ratio, but the people on the ends of the spectrum have like a bigger like especially on the smart end of the spectrum, people in the smart end have a bigger access to pain, but also bigger access to blessings. But in the context of fear, like I said, like once the smart people learn to like harness their social awareness, right, and learn to have social skills, and like without being narcissistic and manipulative, and like actually like that's why smart people need God, because like they have the most power, and it's they need some accountability. But the point is, the people on the ends of the spectrum have the least fear in every social scenario, because the least socially aware people literally don't aware literally aren't aware of certain things, but they're kind of the way they interact socially is completely fine, so that it's not like they get like bullied or like except if you're like the least socially aware, and also like you wasn't raised in a good kind of social environment, and so you're just kind of awkward and stuff, which I mean that kind of sucks. Although I'm pretty sure like God will find a way to make it just, because God weighs every human's lives equally. Like he doesn't see anyone as better than anyone else, and so God will find a way to make it fair for that girl or guy. But they have the least fear, because the smart people know everything, and therefore they don't have fear, and the dumb people don't know anything. They're not even aware of the social game, which makes them just as successful as the people who are completely aware of everything in the social game, because because that's just how it is. Like that literally just how it is. Like if you don't realize it's a game, then like and you are you present yourself in a perfectly acceptable way, it doesn't really matter. And so I think that's why a lot of kind of seemingly dumb people, like in terms of like academic intelligence measured by school and the education system, can become like millionaires and like successful businessmen and things like that. I think simply because of the the lack of like just not caring about like people, simply because they don't realize it's even a matter to care about. So that's a really interesting thought. Let me know your thoughts.